Hey there folks, Mike Seeklander with Team Wilson Combat, and today we're talking all about cover. Now it's a beautiful day on the range, and I'm going to give you all of the details you need to know to effectively define cover, to find it, shoot around it so you're fast and accurate, and more importantly, utilize it effectively so you're minimizing your exposure, okay? Now, today I'm using my Beretta 92G Vertec, one of my favorite Berettas in this particular drill, and got a lot of good stuff to teach you, so pay attention. Let's get right into the material. Before I show you how to shoot around cover, let's define what cover is. Cover is anything that will stop whatever someone's shooting at you. So the bottom line is cover might be dictated based on the weapon system that they have. Conversely, concealment is something that may hide us, it may deflect a bullet, it may slow it down, but it's not truly going to stop it. Sometimes concealment's still pretty good, but ultimately we want to look for some cover. A couple key principles of cover. Number one, locate it, pre-locate it. Know where it is, in your home, in the restaurant, wherever you are, know where, if this happens, then I'm going to go there. And then number two, be careful to utilize it effectively where you're not getting too close to it and not too far away from it. So let's talk about shooting around cover. So I have a piece of cover set up, and in this particular situation, you can see this is the edge of a plywood wall. This wouldn't actually stop a bullet, but I'm going to simulate that this is cement or steel or whatever else. Now, on the bottom of this barricade, there's a big set of framework, okay? But remember, in real life, you know, the telephone pole or the vehicle or whatever else you're operating in and around would not have a framework typically on the bottom of them. So the first thing I want you to remind yourself of is, if I'm effectively going to be utilizing a piece of cover, a lot of my students and a lot of people I work with tend to forget about their legs, right? We think about our upper body, we keep it behind cover, but we forget about our foot or our leg or our knee or whatever else. So rule number one of cover is make sure your lower body is truly behind the position of cover, okay? Now, if I'm shooting around cover and I'm leaning to the right shooting around cover, I'm going to tell you you're probably going to be better off taking your right foot and putting it slightly in front of your left foot. If you're going to the left, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to put our left foot slightly in front of our left foot. And that's simply a matter of balance. If I'm leaning to the right and my right foot is forward, I can actually place my body weight on that foot and not fall out of the position of cover. If that that right foot is back and I'm trying to lean that same direction, my body weight is going to carry me outside of that position. Keep in mind, however, when you're using this position, you may have ran to the back of the car, or you might have ran to the edge of the wall. So you're probably mobile anyways, so we want to have the ability to stop, break ourselves, and balance at the same time, okay? Now, when you're shooting around cover, I want to show you what I call the upper body triangle. So the upper body triangle is a position where you've got both hands in the right spot on the gun, right? Your strong hand is nice and high on the handgun. Your support hand is nice and high on the handgun. You're applying pressure to the grip where we need to, you know, just like we taught you in the grip video in the past, but that pressure is neutral. In other words, it's neutral because it's coming from both arms. So when we're talking about the upper body triangle, that's how I build the position. One of the things that I see when people shoot around cover is they tend to take that upper body triangle and change it. For example, if they normally shoot like this, when they lean around cover, I see them take their arms and start to contort their arms in some weird way, shape, or fashion. And the reason you don't want to do that is because if we fail to build the upper body triangle, the same way, then we're going to change how we pressure the gun. And if we change how we pressure the gun, we're going to change how the gun recoils and recovers. And we want to keep that consistent so the shooting is consistent with our standard platform, okay? So when I'm shooting to the right around a piece of cover, I'm going to have my right foot forward, of course, and then when I actually shoot around the position of cover, I'm going to roll my body around the side and maintain that upper body triangle. So let me reverse that and show you what I'm talking about. So if I'm rolling to the right, I'm leaving my pelvic girdle in one spot, and I'm literally rolling my body around that position of cover, okay? Notice how the triangle stays the same. I didn't contort the arm and change the triangle, and thusly I'm keeping the pressure on the gun the same way. One more thing I want you to consider. If I'm effectively using a piece of cover and I don't know where the threat is, one thing I want you to consider doing is keeping the gun compressed in a position that allows you to open up your vision. So what I mean by that is, let's say the threat is hiding back here and their shadow or their foot or whatever else is down here. Visually, when I get to this position of cover, I'm taking my eyes and I'm searching up the edge of the cover, up the edge of the cover, up the edge of the cover as I move out. We call that slicing the pie. But if my handgun is in the way of my vision as I'm slicing the pie, I'm occluding some of my visual focus on the ground where I might see a shadow or a boot or a toe, or maybe if the guy or gal's laying down in the room, maybe aiming a rifle at me, the entire person. So when I'm working around this position, I want you to consider keeping the elbow tucked tight and out of the way. We don't want to expose it, and keeping the gun compressed. So I'm searching, 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 and as soon as I see a threat, then I'll take the handgun, extend it out in front of me, roll into my position, maintaining my upper body triangle, and then fire my shots, okay? Now, I want to show you one more thing, and I'm going to reverse the picture for you. Let's say you're the threat, and I'm rolling left instead of rolling right this time. The neat thing about rolling your body is it actually reduces the profile or the exposure of your arm and your elbow, okay? So I want you to look at what I'm doing here. I'm going to take my foot and I'm going to put it just on the inside the left edge of cover here, okay? And if I take my handgun, my fake handgun here, and I lean out, notice I'm exposing my arm and the left-hand side of my body. However, if I keep my pelvis back here and I roll out, I keep my arm and my elbow and the large majority of my shoulder and arm behind cover and reduce the exposure. So I'm still shooting from that triangular position that gives me that consistent recoil recovery and control, but I'm exposing much less of my body. And that's how you want to utilize this cover. So in closing, if you're leaning or you're using cover, leaning to the right foot's going to go slightly forward. Make sure your foot and your leg and your entire lower body is behind cover. Consider building your upper body triangle and rolling your body out there. Notice the pelvis stays in the same spot. Roll my upper body versus leaning my upper body. And in that upper body roll, that's going to reduce the profile of my elbow and keep it behind that edge of that cover line, which increases my protection and decreases my exposure, okay? So, you know, to work a drill like this, practice at dry fire, and I would also challenge you to do this. If you have a red gun or a training gun or a squirt gun, have a family member or a shooting buddy get downrange, get your position to cover, and practice rolling around it, exposing as little as possible, and have them tell you what they see. So if they see body exposure and elbows and stuff like that, fix it. Because remember, when this is real and bullets are coming back at you, the last thing you want to do is show them your arm. So there you go. How to use cover, what it is, how to effectively shoot, just like we normally shoot around cover. So practice those skills. Don't forget, I'm going to show you the live fire version of this as well, because we've got to test it in live fire to make sure our shooting technique is what it needs to be. So subscribe, look forward to that video, and coming up next, I'm going to show you that live fire drill. Hey there, I hope you liked that content and learned a thing or two from it. Make sure you subscribe because we're releasing stuff all of the time with one goal in mind, and that's to make you better.